The Warriors have been struggling for the past few weeks. It's no secret, even their golden boy Steph Curry knows it. The athlete sure does have a lot to say about their current situation, and let's just say that he didn't hold back. If they lose a game once or twice, it's not a big deal. Every team has its bad days. For the Golden State Warriors, though, these bad days are dragging on and on. Their loss to the Brooklyn Nets was devastating for both the fans and the team, and Curry isn't here to make excuses. Steph Curry answered some questions about it, talking mostly about how the Dubs are struggling to find any sort of winning execution. Of course, this is very obvious, especially when you think about how Kevin Durant, the Nets' star player, wasn't even on the court in the game. Curry also let everybody know that losing is a terrible feeling. If you ask me, keeping the losing streak going is a much more terrible feeling. The guard also added that the team has to do something about it immediately, and the truth is, they could really use some improvement. It's crunch time, and slacking off right now is not ideal at all.
This is the third consecutive game you guys have blown double-digit leads. Why do you think that is?
Just not sustaining a high level of execution on either end of the floor, letting the momentum slip away, and then it's a make or miss situation down the stretch. Jaylen Brown hits that three. Royce O'Neal hits one tonight. You give teams an ability to go win the game, with a possession here, possession there. It's the NBA, and we've been on the wrong side of it. But we've beaten ourselves, in a certain portion of the game that gives the other team life, and that's what happens.
That's not all that Curry said, though. The baby-faced assassin went on to say that he doesn't think that the Warriors are incapable of doing better. They all know what they need to do, and that's their challenge. Somehow, the Dubs need to figure out a way to avoid situations like this, where after every other game, they have to explain to the fans and everyone else why they couldn't win. He also talked about how everyone on the team, as well as coach Steve Kerr, understand that they need to take action now. It looks like our Warriors boys are helpless though. They just can't figure out what's going wrong. Curry kept talking about these speed bumps that the Warriors are running into, and unfortunately, they're different in every game. That's just what makes this whole situation even sadder than it already is. Just when they think they've got it right, there's a bump in the road and it feels like the team is back to square one. For example, Curry admitted that the team should have been quicker in taking advantage of what went down in Cleveland. That's an excellent example of a time when the Warriors had the perfect opportunity to turn it up, but just couldn't. It's like they know what they have to do, but they just can't get their strategy right. This feels like a vicious cycle, and both the team and the fans are left feeling a bit helpless. Steph Curry addressed all these issues in a press conference after the loss to the Nets. Let's look at what went wrong in that game. Everyone knew that Wiggins' return after his injury would be a bit tough, but nobody thought it would be as bad as it was in the Nets game. As the reigning champions, a 120-116 loss was the last thing the Warriors needed. 23-24 is not a good look for these champions. All that can be overlooked, but what can't is the fact that they lost when Durant wasn't even playing for the Nets during that game. The Warriors had their best of the best, from Klay Thompson to Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. Nobody was expecting them to lose. As for Wiggins' performance, a lot of people were concerned. Here's why. Wiggins had some shocking stats during this game. 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist were the last thing anyone was expecting from him post-injury. He went down a shooting stretch and went 0 for 3 from three-point range and only 2 for 9 from the field. It gets crazier because he and Klay together shot 6 for 26 throughout the whole game. This duo was lacking, and everyone knew it the second they realized that they couldn't even take advantage of the mismatches by the Brooklyn guards. This is the last thing you'd expect from last year's champions. As far as Wiggins is concerned though, his lack of production isn't the only reason he was on the bench in the last few minutes of the game. There's just no way Jonathan Kuminga could be ignored. He was just spectacular on the court, and if he wasn't on the floor in that last stretch, the Warriors might have suffered a more embarrassing loss. Along with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Jordan Poole, Kuminga fit in perfectly, and these 5 men kind of saved the day in the end. Kuminga was doing great, scoring 20 points on 9 for 15, and ending with plus 13 plus minus in the 4-point loss. When you compare this to Wiggins' stats, or even Clay's for that matter, it makes sense why Kerr chose him to step up. What's causing some concerns for fans, though, is that it was Wiggins' form that led Kerr to make the decision about Kuminga, and everyone's wondering if this is going to be the new normal for the next few weeks. The Warriors' worries don't end there, though. It doesn't matter if Wiggins' poor performance is because of his injury or if it's because of conditioning. The fact that he hasn't been bringing his A game to the court for a while now is something that definitely cannot be ignored. Since his return, he's averaging a mere 12.5 points per game, that too in 30.5 minutes. His shooting percentage is also down in the dumps, at 34.1% from the field and 21.6% from three-point range. I mean, this and 50 AT at the free throw line? That's not what the Warriors need right now from him. If they really want to get better, as Steph Curry said, they need to understand that maybe Wiggins isn't aligning with their strategies right now. That's exactly why they need to decide what they want to do with him going forward. Because until and unless Wiggins is back to his all-star level form, they are not going to be winning. What they need from the Canadian is for him to turn his game around, and if he can't, well, Kuminga is churning out great numbers, so he's always an option. Another option for these reigning champions could be considering some trades. Of course, the Warriors have more than a few obstacles when it comes to making trades. For example, they might have to pay a luxury tax protection of $176 million. That's an all-time high, by the way. That's not even the most they have to pay. A combined payroll tax of $367 million is also heading their way soon. Despite this, fans can expect them to make a few trades. If they want to make it to the playoffs, they need a few new people on their team. Let's look at their options. For starters, there isn't a lot because most of their key players are untouchable. The most viable option would probably be players on fringe rotation and the younger boys on the team. They could probably trade James Wiseman, considering that his contract is going to expire soon. If they trade him now, they could save quite a bit of money. As for who they could bring on the team, PJ Washington and Jakob Poeltl are great contenders. They could really help the Warriors' second unit, considering that Draymond Green is mostly on the floor. Poeltl has a pretty good track record, and he could be the center the team needs. As for PJ Washington, if the Warriors can have someone who can defend and shoot like that, they'd make much better use of him than the Hornets, who are currently struggling. As always, the Warriors have options for trade prospects. If they really want to get better, as Curry said, they have to take the necessary steps. Trades are a great option that they can explore, second to working on their winning execution. Fans, along with the golden boy of their team, are hoping for improvement, and it's crunch time. Let's hope they can do better. See you in the next video.